So good afternoon. Today I'm going to talk about the Royal Botanic Garden in Melbourne, Australia. So identifying the object. What makes this element different from others? So like I said before, this garden is located in Melbourne between the south of Melbourne and East Melbourne. The Royal Botanic Garden and National Herbarium of Victoria are one of the world's best designed botanic garden, and it is alongside the Yarra River, which flows around Melbourne. This garden was founded in 1845 and it has around 35 hectares. Actually, this garden has like 20,000 species of plants, including native and exotic varieties. These plants are cultivated in greenhouse and in areas around the garden. Analyzing the structure. What is the relation between the object and its surroundings and observers? So, first thing, we identify the paths related to the garden and how it connects to the city. So we can see that actually the garden is like a transition between the south of Melbourne, which is the red one, and the east of Melbourne, which is the purple one. So we see that the south of Melbourne are like more activities related to the city, like work, services, and public things. But then in the east side is more related to the residential side, so it's like more calm. So we see the garden as a transition between the chaotic and noisy city to the calm and quiet residential side. Another thing we identify is that all the paths that are in the south in Melbourne like kind of guide us to the main street, which is the one that is in the middle between the garden and the south of Melbourne. This street is the Kilda Street, and actually, like I said before, the paths kind of guide us to this main street, which has like the main activities, for example, transportation and things like that. So actually, the city kind of guides us to a place we can understood where are we and not get lost. So, like I said before, there are many nodes that are related to the garden, and actually, I think they kind of join this part of the city because there's only cultural and educational nodes. So this actually came like a kind of circuit to make the people be there because there is the cultural side. Actually, these points make the citizens or even tourists take a decision in which side they want to go. Like for example, in the NCMI, we can keep going through the urban side, or we can just go into the natural side. So, like I said, there are many notes that make us take decisions, but actually they are like very clear. So I think that's the importance of a city. Be clear and understand the city even when you are in there, not seeing in like a plane. So yes, like I said before, these nodes make the citizens and take decisions, but actually in the visual you can see the image of which side you could take. The borderline context. So as I said before, the garden is like a transition, and we see like this urban landscape that it's actually very defined in the south of Melbourne, and then this garden as this element of transition of like quiet and like how the trees and all this nature kind of like soft all this noise that is from the city. But now, in the contrary, we see the garden and we see this transition even softer because we see the garden, then this edge, this limit that is the Yarra River. But then, in the other side, that is the east of Melbourne, we see that it's not like too rude, this transition. Actually, it's like more soft because they have like this green area that actually like make the transition even softer. And actually this kind of transition I think helps to like create this calm and this more quiet sensations into the observers, so making them feel like they are like in a complete different place than they were before in the case of the city landscape. So now we need to understand the meaning. What is the meaning that people gave to this garden? So to understand this, we identified what are the paths and the notes that are in the garden. So with this already identified, we identified two types of notes: soft activity notes and the hard activity notes. So these notes have like a particular kind of user. So, like I said before, these soft activity notes are more related to the individual or to share with the ones you love. So, it's more like walking, a space for walking, a space to sit, and like benches and all that stuff, or even just to observe all this nature landscape. And then we have the hard activity notes that are more to congregate these certain people who are more interested into learning and to know more about these botanical aspects, and for example agriculture and all that kind of stuff. So we have these like buildings that are focused on these kind of activities or researches and things like that. So we identified these two kind of users. In the soft, it's more like senior citizens, tourists, and kids with the family, elder people. But then in the hard activities note are more like researchers and students, college, and even workers and things like that. So finally, we identified the royal garden as a node, which is composed by other nodes to make like this kind of circuit that actually has like a lot of infrastructure, but not too hard. So I think it actually like connects everything and makes people understand, like identify where they are, because there are different types of pavilions and types of landscape that could make you understand which are your ubication inside the garden.